Before we start, tell me where you're listening from in the comments. Maybe you're someone who thinks going to Mars is just a rich kid's space fantasy. Maybe you believe we should spend all that money and effort on Earth's problems instead. Maybe you've never considered that a single planetary disaster could wipe out an entire civilization. Or maybe you just think all this Mars talk is a marketing stunt. This conversation is for you. I'm going to tell you the real reason why we must go to Mars. This isn't science fiction. This isn't a vanity project. This is the only way to guarantee that your children and grandchildren will survive. And if we don't do this, I'll show you exactly how human civilization could end. The truths I'm going to tell you today might make you uncomfortable, because most people assume Earth will be a safe place forever. They're wrong, and the price of that assumption could be the complete extinction of our species. After listening to this conversation, you'll see the Mars mission differently, not as a luxury adventure, but as a vital necessity. Because here's the truth. As long as we keep all our eggs in one basket, the risk of dropping that basket increases every single day. The real reason we must go to Mars, people constantly ask me, Elon, why Mars? Why not the moon? Why not explore the ocean floor? Why spend billions on space when we could solve Earth's problems? I understand these questions. They seem logical, but these questions miss a fundamental truth. Right now, all of human civilization lives on a single planet. And there are so many risks on this planet that could destroy us, that if we don't create a backup system immediately, we might wake up one day to find everything is over. Going to Mars isn't about chasing adventure. It's a survival strategy. Last week, while walking with my kids, my 8-year-old son, XA8%, asked me, Dad, why do we need to live in space? Isn't Earth beautiful? And in that moment, I realized everyone needs to know the answer to this question. Because this isn't something only tech enthusiasts, scientists, or space fans should wonder about. This is a vital truth that every parent, every child, every human being should understand. Existential risks on Earth right now. There are countless threats to the 8 billion people living on Earth. And these threats aren't just theoretical, they're real and deadly. First major risk, asteroid impact. The asteroid that killed the dinosaurs 65 million years ago, Chicxulub, was about 10 to 15 kilometers in diameter. If an asteroid this size hit Earth today, 90% of human civilization would be destroyed. Dust and ash would cover the atmosphere. Sunlight would be blocked. Global winter would begin. Agriculture would stop, and billions would die of starvation. But such things happen very rarely. You might think, you're wrong. According to NASA data, there are approximately 25,000 asteroids large enough to threaten Earth, and we've only detected 40% of them. That means right now, tens of thousands of unknown rock fragments capable of destroying civilization are spinning in space. Second major risk, supervolcano eruption. The Yellowstone caldera is one of the largest supervolcanoes we know. If it erupts, large parts of North America would instantly become uninhabitable. Volcanic ash would remain in the atmosphere for years, blocking the sun and starting global cooling. Throughout history, such eruptions have occurred, and each time, most life was destroyed. 74,000 years ago, when the Toba supervolcano erupted, the human population dropped to as low as 10,000 people. We almost went extinct, and this happened in an era when we had no technology. If such an eruption occurred today, the consequences would be far more devastating, because Earth is much more crowded and dependent on complex systems. Third risk, nuclear war. There are over 13,000 nuclear warheads in the world. We know we came to the brink of nuclear war several times during the Cold War. In 1983, the Soviet early warning system malfunctioned, and an officer named Stanislav Petrov prevented World War III by not reporting incoming missiles from America. We're alive because of one person's decision. Today, the number of nuclear-armed countries is increasing. North Korea, Iran, Pakistan. Each new country increases the risk of false alarms. And modern nuclear weapons are thousands of times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb. Even a limited nuclear war could create a nuclear winter, causing the death of billions. Fourth risk, AI going out of control. Having worked extensively on this, I can tell you with certainty, AGI, artificial general intelligence, development is accelerating every day. If we're not careful, we'll create an intelligence smarter than humanity, but not aligned with human values. And such an intelligence might decide that the best way to protect us is to control us. Fifth risk, biological threats. We saw how much damage COVID-19 caused, but this pales compared to biological weapons developed in laboratories. As genetic engineering advances, the ability to create targeted viruses increases. Malicious actors could develop pathogens capable of wiping out the entire human species. Sixth risk, climate change and environmental destruction. Earth's ecological balance is breaking down. Oceans are acidifying, forests are disappearing, species are rapidly going extinct. If we cross critical thresholds, we could experience irreversible environmental collapse. The only solution, becoming a multi-planetary species. Faced with all these risks, we have only three choices: do nothing and trust our luck. But this means playing Russian roulette with billions of people. Try to prevent every risk. But this is impossible. You might not be able to stop an asteroid. You can't prevent a supervolcano. You can't change human nature. Spread human civilization across multiple planets. This is the only realistic solution, because no single disaster can simultaneously destroy civilizations living on two different planets. Think of this concept as existential risk insurance. Do you insure your house? Of course, because if your house burns down, you can build a new one with insurance. So what are we doing to insure the human species? Nothing. A Mars colony is an insurance policy for the human species. If we establish a self-sufficient colony of 1 million people on Mars, human civilization will continue no matter what happens to Earth. Why Mars, not the Moon? At this point, everyone asks, the Moon is closer, why Mars? For very simple reasons. Atmosphere. The Moon has no atmosphere. Mars has a thin atmosphere that's 95% carbon dioxide. We can produce oxygen from this atmosphere. The MOXIE experiment proved this on Mars in 2021. Water. Mars has enormous amounts of frozen water. At the poles, underground. Water is critical for drinking, producing oxygen and hydrogen, and rocket fuel. The Moon has very limited water. Day length. A day on Mars is 24 hours and 37 minutes. Perfect for human biology. A day on the Moon lasts 29 Earth days. 14 days of sun, 14 days of darkness. Humans can adapt to such cycles. Gravity. Mars has 38% of Earth's gravity. Weak but enough to prevent bone and muscle loss. The Moon has only 17%. Insufficient for long-term human health. Resource diversity. Mars has iron, magnesium, sulfur, carbon. Every element needed to build industrial civilization. The Moon has very limited diversity. Distance advantage. Yes, the Moon is closer, but the window to Mars opens every 26 months. And if we can establish a self-sufficient colony on Mars, you don't need constant round trips. On the Moon, you remain constantly dependent on Earth. SpaceX's Mars strategy. To reach Mars, we need to solve three fundamental problems. 1. Giant rocket system. Starship is the largest rocket ever built. It can carry 120 tons of payload to Mars. Saturn V could only carry 50 tons. To build a Mars colony, you need to transport enormous amounts of material. Habitat modules, solar panels, manufacturing equipment, life support systems. 2. Fuel production on Mars. Having a one-way ticket but no return ticket becomes a problem. We produce methane and oxygen from CO2 in Mars's atmosphere and water from its soil. This is the fuel needed for Starship to return from Mars. This process, called the Sabatier reaction, has been tested dozens of times on Earth. 3. Keeping humans alive. The Mars journey takes 6 to 9 months. During this time, cosmic radiation, bone loss, muscle atrophy, psychological problems, we must solve all of these. Starship will have radiation protection, artificial gravity, exercise equipment, hydroponic gardens. What life on Mars will be like, the first phase of the Mars colony, will be entirely focused on survival. The first settlers, probably 100 people, will work to meet basic needs. Shelter. Initial habitats will come from Earth, but long-term building materials will be produced from Mars soil using 3D printers. Underground cities can be built for radiation protection. Oxygen. Atmospheric processors scaling up MOXIE will convert Mars's CO2 to oxygen. Plants will also increase oxygen production. Water. Ice from the poles and underground will be melted to obtain water. Water will also be electrolyzed for hydrogen and oxygen. Food. Vegetables will be grown in hydroponic and aeroponic systems. Lab-grown meat will provide protein. Mars soil can be used for agriculture after appropriate chemical processing. Energy. Solar panels and nuclear reactors will provide energy. Mars receives half the sunlight of Earth, but it's still sufficient. Because the atmosphere is thin, solar panels work effectively except during dust storms. Manufacturing. 3D printers, metal processing facilities, electronics production. Eventually, all kinds of equipment can be manufactured on Mars. Independence is key here. Who will be the first Mars colonists? This is a very serious question. The first humans going to Mars won't be on a comfortable vacation. They'll be risking their lives. The probability of death is high. They might not return. They must be resilient, problem-solving people with team spirit. Probably scientists, engineers, doctors, agricultural experts, but also brave, determined, and visionary people. Mars's first settlers will be humans embarking on history's greatest journey of discovery. And this isn't a distant future at all. According to SpaceX's plan, the first crewed Mars mission will begin in 2029. That's 5 years from now. The first Mars colonists are living among us right now. Maybe even you. Why this is urgent? We'll go to Mars someday, but why the rush? You might think. Because time is working against us. Technological window. We currently have the necessary technologies in rocket technology, life support systems, energy production. But this technological superiority isn't permanent. Future economic crises, wars, resource scarcity could halt the Mars program. Civilizational momentum. Humanity currently has an expansionist spirit, but this feeling can change. The Roman Empire once had an infinite expansion spirit too. Then it became inward-looking and collapsed. Civilizations can sometimes lose their spirit of exploration. Increasing risks. All existential risks are increasing daily. Nuclear weapon numbers are rising, climate change is accelerating, AI development is uncontrolled. We're racing against these risks. Compound effect, it will take 50 to 100 years for the Mars colony to become self-sufficient. The earlier we start, the sooner our safety net is ready. Finally, looking at history, humanity's greatest leaps occurred during young, energetic periods. Aging civilizations become conservative, don't take risks. Humanity is still young and brave. We must reach Mars before losing this spirit. Why Mars? Despite Earth's problems, the most common objection I hear is, Elon, instead of spending trillions on Mars, spend that money on Earth's hunger, disease, poverty problems. This logic is flawed because it creates a false dilemma. The Mars program doesn't conflict with solving Earth's problems. It supports them. Technological spillover. Technologies developed for the Apollo program are part of our daily lives today. Computer microprocessors, GPS, satellite communications, materials technology. The Mars program will create similar technological advancement. Resource perspective. The resource efficiency of the Mars colony will teach us to live 10 times better on Earth. Every gram of resource is valuable on Mars. This experience teaches stopping waste on Earth. Backup system. While trying to solve Earth's problems, Simultaneously building a backup system is smart strategy. The two support each other. Inspiration effect. The Apollo program inspired an entire generation towards science and technology. The Mars program will have a similar effect. Young people will turn to engineering, physics, science fields. Economic cycle. The space economy is a trillion-dollar sector. The Mars program will grow this economy, create millions of jobs, increase tax revenues. These revenues can be spent on social programs on Earth. What will change for our children? Returning to the answer to my 8-year-old son's question, yes, Earth is beautiful, and we must continue protecting Earth. But we must also prepare alternative planets for our children. Our children might be the first human generation born on Mars. Or maybe their children will only learn about living on Earth from history books. And this isn't sad, it's exciting. Because they'll be the first representatives of a two-planet species. Children growing up on Mars will learn different skills. Problem solving, resource management, teamwork, courage to explore. These skills will make them successful not just on Mars, but everywhere. And most importantly, these children will never experience the fear of what if something happens to Earth, because they'll know humanity isn't limited to just one planet. What can we discover on Mars? Mars isn't just a survival area, it's also a tremendous opportunity for scientific discoveries. Signs of life. Was there life on Mars in the past? Is there still? The answer to this question will completely change biology. If life evolved independently on Mars, it means the universe could be full of life. Geology. Mars' internal structure, magnetic field history, atmospheric loss. All of these will give clues about Earth's future. Atmospheric dynamics. Learning how a thin atmosphere works will improve climate models on Earth. New materials. Mars' different gravity and atmospheric conditions could allow production of materials impossible on Earth. Human adaptation. How humans adapt to Mars conditions will advance medical science. Bone density, muscle structure, circulatory system. New knowledge about all of these. Conclusion. This isn't just an option. It's a necessity. To summarize. Going to Mars isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. This isn't an option. It's the only way to guarantee our species' survival. 65 million years ago, if dinosaurs had space programs, they'd still be here today. We cannot make the same mistake. Of course, the Mars program isn't easy, expensive, risky, difficult. But the greatest discoveries in history were always like this. Columbus risked his life to discover America. Antarctic explorers died freezing. But these discoveries moved humanity forward. Going to Mars will be humanity's greatest leap ever. And this leap will happen in our generation. You'll be able to tell your children, "You were there when we went to Mars." Or you'll say, "We had the opportunity, but we missed it." I prefer the first option. Mars is waiting. Humanity is ready. Technology is available. Only will and determination remain. Share this video with everyone who needs to understand why Mars is a necessity. Subscribe because our conversations about humanity's future will continue. And remember, we're not just Earthlings. Very soon, we'll be Martians too. See you on Mars.